back to the vlogs. It's been a while. I've been in a little bit of a funk. I know sometimes like ice with apple juice is not good because then it gets diluted, but honestly that apple juice was not cold enough and it's over 100 degrees outside because we're in Texas summer. Anyways, I'm gonna do a little get ready with me. I changed my mind on the lighting because it just looked a little too warm. Okay, I think that's gonna have to do. Anyway, yeah, let's catch you guys up on what's going on. Let's do a little get ready with me. I'm trying to experiment with different layerings on my face. I'm not going crazy today just because I'm not actually going anywhere. I'm just filming this video. I want to talk to you guys, catch you guys up, get back into the swing of things. I have a couple vlogs that I've filmed that are going to come after this because I feel like it makes a little bit more sense. So in the beginning of the year, I was trying to get super into vlogging and filming and all of this. And then it got to be too hard because I was planning my own micro wedding, which was great. It was beautiful. It was awesome. Everything I needed and everything I could ask for. Shout out to my mom because she did most of the work on it. And then after the wedding, I think we were just kind of like trying to find our footing as like a married couple. I haven't done like a wedding update. This is my ring. I don't know if you guys can see, but this is my ring. It is a 5-stone sapphire ring. But all of the beginning of the year was just kind of like getting caught up in wedding stuff, and now I feel like we are kind of in like a better flow. I don't know if anyone goes through this, but everyone talks about like seasonal depression, like when it comes to the winter, because you're not going outside. I go outside a lot in the winter. I prefer to be outside when it's cold. I don't care if I have to wear 3 layers of clothing, I'll be outside. But in the summer, I don't go outside. It's hot unless I'm gonna be by a body of water or I'm gonna be indoors. I'm pretty much not going outside. I just did some of the one size Secure the Sweat. I'm gonna let this dry down a little bit and then I'm gonna do another layer of primer, which is the e.l.f. Power Grip. I'm having a very, what is it called? Imposter syndrome kind of year. I have no idea how to get out of this funk. But my other reason for filming this video today, I can't have my hair forward because then it starts to stick to my face and I don't like that. After I get ready, we're gonna go sit down in our office and I'm going to kind of give you guys the basics of like what I used to shoot with, like what was my setup, my beginner like photography setup, and then kind of how I've built up my inventory and what my current setup is, because I'm actually trying to declutter most of my stuff. We have too much stuff and I have to admit a lot of it is mine. I'm gonna go in with some e.l.f. Halo Glow. Normally I'm against putting product on my face directly, but I think this is the only product that I do that with. So I'm gonna kind of go through my inventory, show you guys what I used to shoot with, what I liked, what I didn't like about them, what I'm keeping and what I'm planning on selling. I'm getting rid of stuff. I simply have too much stuff. I'm going in with the Fenty Beauty Eavesdrops. I just put them on the back of my hand just to warm it up. I did a shoot exchange with another photographer and she was great and so sweet. But yeah, I did not end up filming. We just kind of like sat and hung out and took photos, and I didn't film any behind the scenes at all. Not for her, not for me. I think I'm gonna do blush first. I'm gonna do my concealer last, I think. This is just the Charlotte Tilbury Pinkgasm blush. Rare Beauty bronzer in, I think, Soul. The thing is like worn off. This is how much I've used this product, but I don't use very much of it, which is why I've never had to repurchase this product. Oh, Sepia Gate. Let's talk about it. If you're not on TikTok, if you're not in the photographer side and bride side of TikTok and you have not seen anything related to Sepia Gate, I envy you because I would have loved to never have come across any of those videos. But basically there was a bride who paid $8,000, which I agree is a hefty amount. It's, I think, considered a luxury amount, like a luxury photographer price. She paid $8,000 for her wedding photos for her photographer, and she did not like them. She felt like the photos were sepia toned, hence Sepia Gate. Felt that they were too sepia toned, too warm toned. She just didn't like them, which I think a lot of photographers will say, like, before you go in and book a photographer, especially for your wedding photos, make sure you've seen a full gallery by them. I did the Tarte blush on top of the Tarte Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Blush. I don't remember how I got this item. I just use it as my powder blush. And then for my powder bronzer, I'm using the Patrick Ta She's Statuesque. I use the powder portion, and then if I'm contouring, I use the cream portion. Because contouring and bronzer are different. Please learn the difference. And then for concealer, I'm going with House Labs by Gaga. She did not like her wedding photos. And I understand voicing your complaints, and I understand her frustration because she was trying to work it out with the photographer, I think privately. What I find to be heinous, actually, is the number of videos this girl made complaining about her photographer. And I just think it's in bad taste. I think it's rude. I think there's equal parts to blame here. I don't think it's just her fault or her fault. I think both parties have to be taking some fault here. Making like over 10 videos complaining about one thing, or I guess like multiple things about one person, is rude. She still has a business to run, and I'm sure she will be taking the feedback into consideration. I just think making an excessive number of TikTok videos, it screams cloud chaser. I'm so sorry, it does. I didn't comment on her video. I commented on a couple of other photographers. I completely see both sides, the photographer side and also the bride side, because obviously if you pay copious amounts of money for luxury photos, you want them to turn out how you want, which is why, again, we will always tell you, if you're booking a wedding photographer, even if you're not booking with me, if you're booking with somebody, ask them for a gallery, a sample gallery, a previous gallery, just something so they can see what it kind of looks like, because lighting affects everything. Overcast and cool toned lighting and warm toned lighting, it all comes into play. I feel like her photographer could have done maybe a little bit better with just adjusting her presets a little bit, and just especially with skin tones. My focus is always going to be, do the skin tones match, because that's important to me. The sheer number of videos is what like appalled me. I was like, this is like borderline cyberbullying. And it's one thing to be like a dissatisfied customer, but then she was, I guess, like also harassing a bunch of other photographers who were backing her photographer up, saying you're in the wrong because you never asked for a sample gallery and you're in the wrong for XYZ. And she was commenting and being mean to these other photographers who were commenting their opinions and saying, don't worry, I'm making note of your business and I'm putting together a list of photographers that other brides shouldn't work with. And I was like, this is just mean. I'm so sorry. It's just mean. I just did a little bit more of that powder blush on my eyeshadow, or on my eyelids. I'm going to spray down with the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray. While that dries down, I'm gonna do my brows, lightly filling in my brows. This is Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz. I'm doing the Benefit 24-hour brow setter, and I use the flat side to lay everything down, and then I use the comb side to like brush through. I don't know if that's how you do it, but that is how I do it. I think I created one look and I've stuck to it for like a couple months now. I'm gonna go in with my Until Dawn, One Size Until Dawn setting spray, and I have the mini of this. I need to get the big version of this. Okay, I'm just gonna use some tinted lip balm, probably from Summer Fridays. Oh my gosh, I didn't do highlighter. I have this Winky Lux cream highlighter. I've used this forever. I've repurchased this. I get this at Target. I've repurchased a couple times. I think it's still my favorite highlighter. It's not too shiny. It's the perfect amount. It's buildable, and I always get compliments on it. All right, I'm gonna fix this hair, and then let's go in the office and let's talk my photo stuff. We're in the office now. I've got my apple juice with me, but let's go through my stuff. When I tell you I have a box, it is a box this big, and it is overflowing. Nothing is fitting. First, let's go over my initial setup, which was actually this camera. It is a Sony a5100, and all I had at the time, I think, was the first lens I ever bought for this camera, because the lens that came with it is the standard like 16 to 50, 3.5 to 5.6, and this was the first lens that I bought for it because it was the cheapest lens I could buy at the time. The 50mm was too expensive. So what I got was actually a Sigma 60mm 2.8 lens to mount onto this camera, and I took a lot of portraits on it. And then I ended up getting a wider angle lens, which is a 16mm 2.8 lens, and those are all the lenses that I got for this camera that I shot with before I upgraded to a full frame setup. And then when I wanted to upgrade to a full frame setup, I actually went on Facebook Marketplace and I bought my first full frame camera, and it is this baby right here. It is a Canon 5D Mark II. It has been loved. It was pretty beat up when I had gotten it already, and it came with a 50mm 1.8 lens, just the standard one from Canon. And this was my setup that I shot on for the longest time before I could upgrade to new lenses. I think I shot with this setup for, I think, a solid like 8 to 9, maybe 8 months. This was my setup, and I'm currently planning on selling this setup because I just don't use it anymore. It's just kind of sitting around collecting dust, so this is part of my declutter. This was a really great beginner setup. If you can get a Mark III, I would go for that. If you can get a Mark IV, I think lots of people are selling their Mark IVs now because everyone's going mirrorless. I would also recommend that. Learned a lot about shooting manual on a full frame because it's very different. It was great. It served me well. I don't love the low light quality. I don't love certain things about this camera that I'm currently shooting with, but I also don't have a reason to fully upgrade my vlog camera because I don't get paid from making these videos. I just kind of make them for me. So if it generates any revenue, I would put that into getting a new camera. But as for right now, it kind of works for me, especially since everything else I have is like so huge and bulky. This was my initial setup. And then once I decided to upgrade my lenses, I got 2 lenses. I remember using my tax return. I ended up using that money and investing it into my business, and honestly, to this day, best investments I ever made, other than upgrading to mirrorless, of course, and some of my film setups. Going forward, my go-to setup was this, which is a 35mm 1.4 lens. This is from Sigma, and I shot with my Canon 5D Mark II. This was my go-to setup for the longest time. Smaller apertures were in, the wider angles were in. I shot so many grads on this setup alone, and it was amazing. Alongside this lens, I also picked up my Sigma 24 to 70mm 2.8 lens, and I still love this lens. I'm finding myself using and gravitating to this quite a bit recently. These are currently still in play. I still use them mainly because even after switching to mirrorless, I have not bit the bullet and gotten RF lenses because my film also uses EF lenses, and it's really easy for me to switch back and forth with these two. So I haven't gotten there yet. Maybe next year is the year I'll upgrade to RF lenses, but this is my current. I still use these. I love them. I'm not letting these go just yet. Speaking of mirrorless, last year is when I upgraded to mirrorless, and I was kind of between 2 options. I was between the Canon R5 because I love Canon's colors. I loved the sharpness and the high quality that the R5 produced, but everyone was saying that the R6 and the R6 Mark II had better low light qualities. And I'm gonna tell you this, the R5 gets a lot of hate, but not for me. I'm not the one hating on this. This is my favorite camera. I have shot on both of these for a period of time. I went through a phase where I was shooting on both of them, where this was my main and this was my backup. I've found that I don't super need a backup, especially with shooting digital and film at the same time. So I've decided I'm actually going to sell my R6 because I just don't need it. I just don't use it. I shot on this versus this, and I just like the R5 better. I know the file sizes are huge, and as for like the low light capability, I don't know, I love a flash, so I'm honestly not complaining about it. This has been my go-to, is my R5 with my 24 to 70 2.8 lens. This is my current digital setup. Okay, now let's talk film. When I wanted to shoot film, I was pretty confident. Maybe a little overconfident, but honestly, I think I did well. But I wanted to get a film camera that I didn't have to get external lenses for. It's not that I couldn't afford it. I just was like, that's such a waste because that's a whole separate kit just for film, and it just felt excessive to me, and I didn't want to do that. So I wanted to get a film camera that I could use EF lenses with, because I already had great EF lenses. Especially having two, I could kind of switch back and forth, which is the whole reason I decided to go this route. So the first film camera I actually got was the Canon EOS 620. I loved it. I learned lots of things on this camera. I know it's a step, I think it's a little bit of a step down from what I shoot on now, but this was a great beginner learning camera. I loved it. It's much lighter than the film camera I shoot on now, which is the Canon 1V, but this was a great way to learn to shoot film manually. And I tested so many different film stocks on this. This was my learner camera, and I will never have enough nice things to say about a beginning camera like this. However, since I have upgraded to the Canon 1V, I kind of don't have a use for this anymore, and it is kind of sitting around collecting dust. So I'm gonna be letting this go. I'm gonna be selling it. I actually have a backup, or like a second version of this, which is the Canon EOS 650. It's only slightly different. I think like size-wise, they're about the same. This is maybe a little bit thicker, and this is maybe a little bit slimmer than this one, but function-wise, everything, they're the same. They both work amazing. I love them both, but I love my 1V, and I'm not letting that one go, especially seeing how many people like want a 1V and knowing I got a really good price for it, because I got it for maybe $400 at like a warehouse sale. I'm not gonna be letting my 1V go anytime soon, but these are great beginner film cameras if you're trying to get into shooting film, especially for weddings. So this is my current film setup. It is, of course, my Canon EOS 1V, and I actually, since I've been shooting my digital with the 24-70 lens, I've actually had my 35mm 1.4 lens, and I think the weight kind of balances out. It kind of feels like the same weight, because before I had the bigger lens on this, and this body is much heavier than the digital body of my R5. Now I will say, this is not a camera to travel with. I primarily shoot like sessions and like especially weddings with this camera. This is not a camera that's light or easy to like take around, but I love having it. I would recommend having two flashes if you're shooting digital and film, just so you don't have to move equipment. Especially shooting flash on film, I just love a good direct flash. It just helps the situation so much. So this is actually the Canon Speedlight EL100. I love the brightness of this flash. I don't need a diffuser. The direct is perfect. Speaking of flashes, the flash I use for my digital is actually the Godox V1C. It's great. I still feel like I need more experimentation with flash photos. I definitely need a little bit more practice, especially with flash in the daytime. I think I need a little bit more, I need to play around with that a little bit more. But I do love this flash. It's great. It's got a rechargeable battery. It's awesome. I bought the kit, if you can see like this little thing around it, it's got like magnets on the side. It's where I can just attach this diffuser. I've got another diffuser or reflector that can mount to this. I also picked up a used 85mm 1.2 lens. I honestly have not shot with this lens as much. I tried shooting this for a wedding I shot last year. I think it's been about a year. I honestly just have not touched this lens. It's in pretty good condition, but I think this is also going to be part of the set that I'm letting go. My other 35mm film camera I have is a point and shoot. This is the most recent camera that I have. It is so much fun. This is so nostalgic and vintage to me, because this used to be my family camera before we upgraded to digital. But this is my go-to point and shoot. This is the one I take on trips, vacations, stuff like that, and I don't have to take my hefty Canon 1V with me unless I'm shooting a wedding and traveling for that. Otherwise, if it's just for a session, personal vacation stuff, this is perfect. You can't go wrong with a point and shoot with a built-in flash. It'll just always do you right. So this is the Olympus Stylus Zoom 140. And then my last camera is actually this hefty girl. And before you even ask, I bought this on a whim because I really wanted to challenge myself. I just never got back into it because I got really frustrated with myself. So I think I'm actually going to be selling this. But this is the Fuji GW690 Mark II. This is a fully mechanical medium format camera. I love the sizing of medium format film. I think the hard part for me was that this was fully mechanical. I am so used to the autofocus on my 35 millimeters that this was not cutting it for me. As much as I really liked it and really wanted to learn, I'm not cut out for it, so I'm actually going to be selling it. Let's talk a couple other things I have that's related to having a photography business. I have lots of these. I have like little clip-on lights. I have one big tripod and I think 2 smaller tripods, and they're really nice to just like screw in like a little light on, especially if I need a little bit of extra light at home. I have the viral, I think, like clip-on light. It's really nice because these are all rechargeable, so I have a Lumi Cube and then a clip-on for when I travel. I have lots of these, lots of phone mounts. Again, I just screw them into my tripod and then I mount my phone onto it, and it's great. And I'll just put it off to the side while I shoot a session. I have a tiny little tripod. I think I have another one that's slightly longer in my car, but these are mainly for my vlog camera, which are really nice to have. Hard drives. Let's talk hard drives. This is a 4 terabyte and this is a 1 terabyte and a 2 terabyte of the Lacy hard drives. These were great for storage. They are not great to work off of. They are so heavy and I do not recommend them. They served me well. I love the shockproof like padding, but honestly, after a while, especially like actively working off of them, it just got to be too A, hefty to travel with, or B, it just started having issues like connecting to my computer, and it was hella annoying. So I have since moved on from that train. I also have a SanDisk one, and I actually use it mainly for my vlog stuff. That's exclusively just like my YouTube videos, all the videos I've shot, all the edited videos, all my stock photos and stuff like that. I just use a small like 1 terabyte SanDisk one, but whenever that fills up, I'm definitely going to be upgrading to a Samsung. I have a couple different Samsung ones. I cannot find the other one, but the first one I have is the regular Samsung T7. I also currently have a Samsung T9. I think that one's a 4 terabyte, and I do enjoy working off of that. The only difference is the padding around it gets a lot of dust trapped, so you have to clean it semi-regularly. But otherwise, the Samsung SSDs are the best external drives to work with. Definitely 10 out of 10. Recommend. That's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed walking down memory lane with me. I hope you guys learned a little bit of something, especially if you're getting into building your photography business. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm looking forward to making more videos for you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!